Hey guys, it's Kristen. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking all about my pre-physical therapy school experience and just overall sharing how to become a physical therapist. I've been getting a lot of comments and DMs on my Instagram just kind of asking me, how do you become a physical therapist? What is the process like in the United States? Because I know I do have a good amount of international physiotherapist subscribers, so if that's you, hello. And I also have been getting DMs from people in high school or early college kind of asking me to further explain the process of physical therapy school. So that is what I'm going to be talking about today. Be sure to check out the description box down below because I'm going to be linking a ton of helpful resources that I'm mentioning throughout this video for you guys, as well as timestamps. So if you don't want to listen to every single little part of this video, you can just kind of jump around and listen to whatever part you want to listen to, if that makes sense. So first things first, if you are in high school and thinking that you want to become a physical therapist, one thing that I think you should look into is hybrid programs. A lot of schools will offer kind of like a 6-year option where you can get your undergrad degree and your doctorate degree in a 6-year time frame, as opposed to getting a 4-year bachelor's degree and then another 3 years of PT school. So if you know that you want to be a PT from a young age, like I did, I think that's something to definitely consider. I wish that's something that I looked into because I could be graduating in 1 year from now instead of 2. So if you are 100% committed to being a PT at that young age, if you're absolutely sure that's what you want to do, definitely check out hybrid program options so you can avoid this whole application process. So now let's get started talking about the prerequisite courses you need to take in order to apply to physical therapy school. So like I kind of just mentioned, you do need a undergraduate degree in order to then move on and apply into a Doctorate of Physical Therapy program. And a lot of people think you need to be a certain major to apply to PT school. That is not true. It just is a series of prerequisite courses. So if you go to PTCAS.org, I will have it linked down below. That is the Physical Therapist Centralized Application Service. I have my iPad here, so if I'm looking down, that's why. But if you go on that website, that is kind of equivalent to the Common App for colleges. That's how you ultimately will apply to PT school towards the end of college. But it also is a really helpful resource if you are trying to just kind of figure out what prerequisite courses you need to take, because they do differ school to school. Most schools are the same, but some programs will randomly require a class or two that another one doesn't. So they have this nice handy dandy little table for you, and basically at the top it says anatomy and physiology 1, 2, biology 1, 2, chemistry 1 and 2, physics 1 and 2, psychology, abnormal psychology, statistics, a math class, exercise physiology, English, communication, humanities, ethics, first aid, CPR. And then it has all of the programs on the side, and it'll have a check mark if that program requires that class or not. So you don't need to know what PT school you're going to be applying to right away your freshman year of college. What I did was I kind of made a list of like 10, maybe 15 schools that I could see myself applying to, possibly attending, and kind of like cross-reference them and saw what classes I absolutely needed to take. Like I know for a fact every program requires anatomy 1 and 2 because obviously, but a good example I can tell you guys. So I was considering applying to physical therapy schools back up north where my family lives, and a lot of those schools require biology 2, but here in Georgia, none of the schools require bio 2. So I went ahead and made sure I took bio 2 so that wouldn't be something that limited me from applying to those schools back home if I knew that was something I wanted to do. So I'm sorry if that's really confusing, but I will put this table in the description box down below, and it basically tells you all these PT schools if you want to apply to them, what classes they require, and you can kind of just choose your major that way. Because obviously if you're like a journalism major or an accounting major, those majors don't require you to take anatomy, biology, chemistry, physics, whereas if you were an exercise science major or a biology major or maybe a psychology major, those classes are required. So you can kind of just consider this and figure out what classes, what major you want that way. So I know that was a lot, but in summary, no specific major is required. Just consider what programs you might be interested in applying to and look at their prereqs, and then kind of just build your schedule that way. And your school should have like a pre-health advising office, a pre-physical therapy club. You should have an advisor yourself. So these are things you can all talk with your advisor about, and they can help you build your schedule as well. So don't feel like it's just all on you to figure this all out. There are tons of resources on your campus that are there for you. You just need to find them, especially if you are at a bigger university. Like I went to the University of Georgia, so they had tons and tons and tons of pre-health advising resources, and those really helped me and taught me everything that I know. So the next thing I'm going to be talking about is shadowing / observation hours. And again, this is something that varies school to school. So I would just say try to shadow as much as you possibly can. It's good for a lot of reasons. It's good because then that will have your bases covered no matter what school you want to apply to, and it also will just help solidify that you want to be a physical therapist. It's a great learning opportunity, and yeah, so just shadow as much as you can. Also on the PTCAS website, there is another lovely table with a bunch of schools' names and the minimum hours required. Just at a quick glance, some of these require 0 hours, but definitely shadow. Do not do 0 hours. 40 hours, 100 hours, 80 hours, 30 hours, 25, 50, 30, 40, 60, 100. And what I will say is quality is better than quantity. So don't just go and shadow thousands of hours at one setting. What I did was I would shadow like 40 or 50 hours in a hospital, 40 or 50 hours at an outpatient clinic, 40 or 50 hours at a pediatric clinic, public health clinic. So just try to see a ton of different types of physical therapy settings for less hours, because I think that will help set you apart rather than having a ton of hours in one setting. A lot of people were asking me how to shadow, and honestly, I would just call up physical therapy clinics that were close to my house, close to my college. I would say it is easier to shadow in your hometown than in your college town, because obviously if you're in a huge college town, there's a lot of students, a lot of people looking to shadow, whereas if you're in a smaller town in the suburbs of Pennsylvania, there's not going to be hundreds of physical therapy students looking for opportunities. So I would try to get a lot of my hours in over Christmas break, Thanksgiving break, over the summers. Really utilize that time. Call up clinics in your area, email them. I guarantee you that you know someone that's a physical therapist. I shadowed some of my mom's friends, some of my friends' moms that are PTs. Just use your resources, reach out, and don't be sad if they say no, they won't take you. Keep trying. There's so many PT clinics out there, and you got this. Next up, I'm going to be talking about the GRE, which I feel like a lot of you probably know what that is, but it's basically the SATs for graduate school and a way to standardize GPA across different colleges, because some are easier than others, so the GRE is just a good measure of kind of baseline level, like comparing academically one student to another. Every school that I applied to required it, but I know some randomly don't, so PTCAS website will tell you that information, but I don't know how much schools really value this. I know they have a minimum score needed to apply. Most schools, I believe, that is a 300 and then a certain score on the writing section, and I feel like it's kind of just like a little checkbox to say, okay, they got that score, now they can apply to the program. So I don't know if that's as important, but prepare for it, do the best that you can, and if you are looking to apply to PT school directly after college, you will be applying July 1st is when applications open. July 1st, like entering your senior year, so you kind of really need to be on top of it pretty early on in college if you are planning to not have to take a gap year, because obviously you need to get these classes done, you need to shadow, you need to take the GRE But don't feel really pressured and don't just jump into physical therapy if you are not 100% sure about it, because that's not what you want to do. A lot of people in my program, like literally probably half of them, took a gap year, multiple gap years, just to kind of get everything together, get more experience, and strengthen their application, ensure PT is what they wanted to do. So don't feel overwhelmed, don't feel behind. There's no such thing as being behind. You're on your own time. So yeah, so once you have done all of those things, you've finished all your prereqs, you've taken the GRE, you've done your shadowing hours, you then will apply to a PT school through this PTCAS website like I've been mentioning, and you fill out the application, you write an essay, you submit your info, and then those schools have an interview process, and then you ultimately are admitted into a Doctorate of Physical Therapy program, which I believe most are anywhere from 2.5 to 3 years. I don't really think there's any that are any shorter than that, but a lot of people think that I'm like in college still, and I'm like, no, I graduated college, I'm getting my doctorate. Yes, a PT is a real doctor. I get questions about that as well. It is a doctorate. MDs don't hold that title. There's tons of professions that are doctorates. I am in my second semester of my Doctorate of Physical Therapy program. I will graduate in May of 2023. Fingers crossed if nothing goes haywire over here. But yeah, so I will keep going through my curriculum, learning how to become a physical therapist, learning all those good hands-on skills, getting clinical experience. And it doesn't end there. You don't just graduate and are a PT. You need to pass the NPTE licensing exam in order to become a licensed physical therapist to practice in the state of Georgia or Pennsylvania or whatever state that you're going to be practicing in. And then you get a job and you can finally work as a physical therapist after 7+ years of schooling. So yeah. I hope this video cleared up any questions or any confusion that you guys might have had about the physical therapy school process, and as always, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have either in the comments down below or in my DMs on Instagram. So if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below because it would really help my channel grow. But other than that, I'll talk to you guys in my next video on Thursday. Bye guys!